Hi there, beautiful souls watching. Thank you and welcome. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I'm going to channel for you. It's Elohim time. We are the Elohim, the breath of God, the form-giving forces, in service to the one infinite Creator, in service to all. Greetings, dear ones, beautiful souls. Now is the time, and as we are allowed by Source to share some information with you, we happily inform you about some things you need or should know. As now everybody, even your scientists, is aware of the second moon coming in, we want to tell you a few other things. You don't live in a singular solar system, because the common rule in the universe is binary or even trinary solar systems. So your sun has an invisible companion, which, as you know, it takes two to tango and two to create, is important because of the interaction between your sun and its companion. And it is not, as many speculated, the so-called planet Nibiru, or planet X, or planet 9, or 12, or however you labeled that. And you can easily see and understand that all these different names you put upon things, planets, or entities during all the ages does nothing else but cause confusion. So you named the one from the Anunnaki races Enlil, Zeus in the Greek period, and many other names. And by that you are so confused that you don't get it, that it's always the same entity, the same character, under different names, but easily to be recognized by his actions and deeds. And we tell you once again, all your religions are man-made. So they have flaws, they are false, they are redacted, they are distorted, and they are not the truth you are longing for in your hearts. But we can assure you there is one, what you would love to call God, one source, one infinite creator source, which is the cause of all, and it is within you as a spark in your soul, and your soul is connected to your body vessel, your human body, your human condition and experience via your heart, in the center, in the middle of the microcosm, the big invisible energy field you live in. And as the regressive forces that invaded your planet long ago overstepped their borders, they authorized now divine intervention, which is underway. So with the coming of the second moon, we also want to tell you that the moon you knew as your moon is not what you think it is. It is a hollowed out moon or planetary body that is very old and comes from times immemorial to you. And it has been driven and used by various, we call them people. It stems from the time of the Lyran Wars, where Lyra was attacked by negative regressive reptilian forces, and as the Lyrans, the feline beings that created the human races, and the human Lyrans did not have so many spaceships on which they could flee from the attack as fugitives to other star systems. They used hollowed out planetary bodies or asteroids. And there are quite a lot of these still in the universe. Some are inhabited because they were used also to seed colonies or to transport great amounts of people. They were used for different purposes, also for seeding life on other planets. And the moon was brought into your solar system to stabilize your Earth with its tilt angle. That's why you have the precession, the equinox. And did you ever ask yourself why the Earth isn't upright but tilt to one side? Well, that's one of the effects of its companion, that is in long cycles coming closer and then moving away again. And the gravitational forces were pulling on your planet Earth. That's why its axis is tilt. And to stabilize your planet, some of the angelic races that you like to call ETs brought the moon in. And there are even ancient texts on your planet talking about a time before the moon appeared in your skies. So your moon is kind of a station, and it was inhabited by different races and people, and it had propulsion put onto it, but it had to stay because its purpose was to stabilize the Earth. Later, it was occupied by some of the negative races, the so-called Orion group, mainly regressive negative reptilians, the Alpha Draconians, and the Greys. And we want to speak a few words about the Greys. They are not, as you were told falsely by some channelers and let's say agents of your three-letter agencies that work in counterintelligence, and their job is to cloak and to deceive. That's what they do, and that's what they did. And so your military and your ruling forces on this planet made treaties with the regressive ones, especially the so-called Greys. And they are known in the whole cosmos for deceiving, lying, and for never keeping their promises and never keeping their treaties. And they always use the same method to invade other planets, to conquer and dominate via the back door of brainwash and false information. That happened on Earth as well. And in exchange for technology, they were allowed by your militaries to abduct a certain amount of people. So you were sold out by your governments, your higher ups you believed in, and thought they are doing their best for the populace. They were not, because they kept these technologies for themselves, which is service to self and pure egoism. But they found themselves betrayed, like the Greys always betray. Much more, since thousands of years were so-called, as you use your language terms, abducted by the Greys, and none of these beings that were adopted of the humans, none of them ever agreed consciously to be abducted. So what they took from these people, sperm and eggs, to create hybrid races, was unrightfully, and they did not respect the free will of the humans. And now with their hybrid races they created since thousands of years, they want to breed themselves into Earth. That's their way of conquering. Don't be fooled, dear ones. They are not you, the humans from the future, as you were told falsely by them or channelers who channeled them, or other sources with the wrong information. They are an insectoid development. And as you know, the ants on your planet have a hive mind and not a singular consciousness responsible for the own deeds and actions. The Greys have a hive mind, and you cannot ever break free or break out of a hive mind, because then as a singular being you just die. So don't be fooled about the ones who tell you they have broken away from the Greys. You cannot break away from a hive mind. The whole construct is to be a hive mind and not a singular consciousness. In your Star Trek movies that were inspired by the consciousness of the Nine from the void via the medium Phyllis Schlemmer that came in contact with them during the experiments, in which also the creator of these TV movies and series, Gene Roddenberry, participated in. So there he got his ideas. And what he created as the Borg can give you quite a good idea about a hive mind and how they function and work. So the Greys and the reptilians invaded the moon and used it as a station, as a basis. Of course, all their installations are on the side of the moon. you could never look upon. Isn't that interesting? Did you ever ask yourself why you are the only planet that has a moon that never rotates so that you can see all sides, even the back side of the moon? That was on purpose, because from there they could fly out with their ships, do their operations, and secretively observe the Earth and the development of humans and everything taking place on the Earth. So that's so much for your moon. And as Source is now doing some of its magical tricks in the skies that even your astronomers can't deny any longer, and the second moon is appearing for a certain limited time period, we are happy and glad to announce to you that now what we call the shift or the evolutionary jump for planet Earth is beginning. You already noticed that your sun is very active, and it's not only sending sun flares that interfere with your electronics and your technology and electricity. It is a conscious entity, and there are beings living in the sun. They are the Christos beings, and Christ was one of them who incarnated into the one you call Yeshua. So these consciousnesses united as one are sending via the sun rays special consciousness waves, particles, to create the quantum jump and the shift that always takes place in great cycles. That's why your ancient Mayans and Hindus observed the skies and counted the great year of the precession, because they knew that the whole planetary system around you is like a giant clockwork, and they wanted to know when is the time. And the Mayans told you in your calendar. It started in 2012, although only very few, very sensitive people noticed that something was shifting in consciousness. But now, for the rest of this year and the coming next year, you are under your evolutionary quantum jump, a kind of reset that is always taking place, because what your Charles Darwin told you about evolution is only partially true. It is not a long, slow development. It is a long, slow development for a certain period of time. But then with sun activity, there always is a shift, a big quantum jump, which you, of course, view as something negative, because you only look from your human viewpoint upon the extinction of species, and you forget that in exactly the same time, new life forms, new species spring up like grass in the desert after the rain. And you don't have to be afraid of the solar flash. That is what even some of your scientists found out. With shining a ray of laser through some salamander eggs And then the light took the information from the salamanders in their eggs, and then they shone the light upon frog eggs. Can you guess what hatched from the frog eggs? Yes, salamanders. So that is what the solar flash will do. It will transform you into the new human that was always meant to come after several other races developing, but only few of these ancient civilizations before you made the jump. And the specialty now is that everyone can do the quantum jump, except the ones that use their free will to not do it, because Source, as the highest frequency, as love, light, allows free will. You can even turn away very, very far and become dark and negative. That is free will as well. You are welcome if you want to come. So don't fear the solar flesh. It will transform you into your always meant to have light bodies. The plasma light bodies, some are already talking about. And this is for all of you who want and wish that. And we are allowed to give you another piece of information. Don't worry, your ET brethren, your sky families, your angelic races, the positive ETs, they have your true history. And after you have made your jump, they will hand it over to you. And they are also there to aid you in building up new systems, building up a new earth, in fairness, truth, beauty, and for the good of all. But before that can happen, you have to go through some turmoil. All the old systems have to crumble. Everything that is under the rug cannot be addressed and dealt with before it does not come out from under the rug. So prepare yourself to see all your systems crumble and fall in every field, and that many of the ones you thought were your leaders, your masters, your gurus, you will find out they are not. It's not the famous ones, it's the unknown ones. The ones who never wanted to be a leader or a teacher, they are the best teachers, the best leaders, because they don't do it for greed of power or wealth or whatever. They are more or less not on the ego path. So they are into service to others, to all, and not like your leaders nowadays who are only into service to self, instigated by their higher-ups, the Greys, the Orion group, and the reptilians. So if you have ever seen a picture of your solar system, and you see the sun in the middle and then orbiting around all the planets, and after Mars, there is this asteroid belt, how you call it. Just a lot of rubble orbiting around the sun. That was a planet once. And even if your scientists try to calculate and say, no, it's not enough mass, cannot be, It was a planet. Because Jupiter took a lot of chunks. So that's why the calculations don't add up. And that planet also was labeled with different names to confuse you. Some were planet Maldek or planet Tiamat. It was a planet bigger than your Earth, and your astronomers nowadays know that in the same position, the so-called habitable zone or Goldilocks zone, in other planetary systems, there is this planet as well as in the position of the super-Earth. And of course, this planet was inhabited by people with elongated skulls. And Mars, with its big scar on one side, was the moon of that planet, and was also inhabited by people very similar to the Maldekians or people from Tiamat, with elongated skulls. And these two races went to war with each other. That's why the planet exploded and only the asteroid belt is left. And Mars has its big scar from that event. Lost its atmosphere and became very difficult to be inhabited. But it is still inhabited, only underground. So how can you think you can just go there with your rocket-like flying machines and terraform Mars and inhabit it? It is already inhabited. You have no right, more or less, to go there and claim it as yours. And the ones on Earth, with that idea, we tell you, dear ones, they are the incarnations of the fugitives that managed to flee from planet Mars, first to the moon and then to the Earth. And you still find some bones and skulls with this elongated skull form on your planet. And although your scientists tell you, oh, that's only head binding, yes, you can bind your head and change the form, but by that you cannot create 25% more volume of brain inside the skull. So these people were more intelligent than the humans on Earth because they had 25% more brain volume. Of course they were, but they weren't better morally or ethically because they exploded in their warring with each other this super-Earth planet that you called Maldek or Tiamat. And they brought, of course, their attitude to rule and to war for greed of power or wealth or whatever, service to self attitude, with them to Earth, where they fled to. And of course they became the so-called elites on your planet and ruled over the less intelligent humans. And still some of them, via their bloodlines, do that up to today. You will find out soon. But their rule, their false kingship, is ending soon. The great time of the purge, collectively and individually, is upon you. The tumultuous times ahead of you will be full of war, unmasking of all the lies you were brainwashed and fed with in science, religion, history, education, finance, in every sector of your societal life. And don't worry, because you have within your DNA what your scientists call junk DNA. The spark of God, the seed of many positive angelic races, which will start to blossom during the solar events, so that you become the new root race, the true humans you were always meant to be. So we view it that great times lie ahead of you. You will build a wonderful new world in love, light, beauty, fairness, justice, freedom, equality, brotherly and sisterly love, for the highest good of all, in service to all, and in service to others, not for your own personal self or ego. That will end soon. So this is what we wanted to share with you today, and there is more coming. Your ET brethren prepared a non-catastrophic way for you, and they have your true history. Things you have never heard, did not even had the idea about something like that. They kept it for you, and they are happy and waiting for you to share everything with you. Your true history and all the help and aid and good they can. But they also want you to grow up. At the moment, you are the new kids on the block. And kids are not yet grown up, so you have to grow up. They don't want to be your babysitters for the rest of their lives. They are mentors. They will help you to help yourself. And there is a very wonderful saying we find in the language of this one here. It's a saying she picked up in Brazil. And we would like to end our transmission today with that. And the saying is going like that. Give a hungry man a fish, and he will have to eat for one day. Teach the man how to fish for himself, and he will have to eat for the rest of his life. So that's what your brethren, your angelic ET races, the angelic realms and the higher consciousness beings in higher realms intend and wish and desire for you, that you grow up and learn to fish and take care of yourself. We will always have your back and aid you in the process. But it is necessary that you also do some steps, and that you are willing, and that you say yes to the process ahead of you. So, blessings, love, and light upon all of you and your soul paths, dear beautiful souls, children of the light. Soon we will unite. Thank you for listening.